Hello everyone, welcome to VENKANNA English Guru. Friends, we are actually talking about neoclassical period. We are actually in the middle of neoclassicism, and this neoclassicism, which is actually subdivided into three important periods. And we are actually at the end of last period, that is Age of Sensibility, which is also called Age of Johnson. Friends, we had a long discussion with regard to this, and this age, and which is nothing but which avoids and which starts avoiding the use of avoiding the principles of neoclassicism during this period. Hence, this is considered to be sensibility. Friends, if my voice is clear and you are able to listen to me properly, show me thumbs up so that I can continue my class. Yes, quick friends. And if my voice is clear and you are able to listen to properly, then try to show me thumbs up. Yes, thank you, friends. So the period from 1745 to 1798, this is considered to be Age of Sensibility that we had a discussion. Next, during this period, you can find plenty of important writers like Dr. Johnson, Samuel Johnson, Oliver Goldsmith, Edmund Burke, James Boswell, and Edward Gibbon. Like we had a long discussion, Samuel Richardson, Henry Fielding, Lawrence Stern, and what is sensibility? The process of showing interest, not only showing interest towards classical period, they showed interest towards Middle Ages, interest towards their own passion, their own primitive thoughts, their own instinctive feelings, and sublimity, visionary imagination, where they were able to focus on these concepts. Hence, it is considered to be sensibility. And the first writer who talks about this, and during this period, one of the major important groups of poets, and that is the transitional poets, who are also called the pre-romantic poets. And mainly five are very important writers, and Oliver Goldsmith, William Blake, Jim Thompson, William Cowper, and George Crabbe. Only these five are very important, and the rest, and and the rest, where they were able to write literature about the downtrodden communities, where they were able to write literature that they felt, their own feelings, their own imagination, their own supernatural aspects, rather than giving priority to the uh, the old measures, the popular writers of the transitional periods, and which is very important for us. Next, we need to talk about, as part of this, important what important date: 1745, Age of Sensibility; 1744, the death of Alexander Pope. And after the death of Alexander Pope, 1745 is considered to be the Age of Sensibility. And 1748, the novel Clarissa. And two important popular novels composed by Samuel Richardson, Pamela, and which is the subtitle Virtue Rewarded, and psychological novel or epistolary novel, and the second psychological epistolary novel, Clarissa. This is very important for us. And as far as UGC-NET or set examination is concerned, Clarissa. And the subtitle of this Clarissa is Love and Money. This is very important. Epistolary novel. This is an example for epistolary, epistle, letter. Any novel that is composed in the form of letters is called epistolary novel. And it is also an example for psychological novel, Clarissa and Pamela. Next, Vanity of Human Freedom, and written by Dr. Johnson. And an elegy written in the country churchyard, written by Thomas Gray. This is very important, which is composed in blank words. Blank words means And this is an elegy on the degradation of human values in a Hamlet. Human values in a normally, elegy is actually a poem that is composed on the death, but this is, though the title includes an elegy written in the country churchyard, though the title includes the word elegy, it does not talk about the death. It talks about degradation, downfall of human values, downfall of cultural, moral, ethical values in a society, in a Hamlet. And Thomas Gray, Stanzas to Mr. Bentley, another important text, poem written by Thomas Gray. Next, friends, you can see 1755, the first English dictionary. The first, friends, this was asked in the history of NET, SET, JL, DL examination. plenty of times. 1755 signifies the first English dictionary, the first Oxford English Dictionary by Dr. Johnson, who was a lexicographer, who was an essayist, who was a novelist, who was a biographer, and the major important writer during this period. The first English dictionary where it included, friends, as I told you, I'm also going to talk about some background information with regard to Dr. Johnson later, where I elaborate two important things that I talk a lot. One is lives of English poets, and second one is the first English dictionary. And we'll have a class. Next, 1759, the first historical novel, Ivanhoe. Okay, the first historical novel, a novel that is based on the history of a particular country, particular state, particular society. That type of novel, which is the concept of historical novel, first introduced into English literature by and Sir Walter Scott. Sir Walter Scott is known for two and Waverley novels, Waverley poems, and historical novels, very popularly and introduced into English literature by Sir Walter Scott, and a Scottish writer. He was from Scotland. And Robert Louis Stevenson and James Campbell and Arnold Stevenson, some of the popular Robert Lobel and Robert Burns, all these are Scottish writers. So Sir Walter Scott. And 1749, Rasselas, the only novel by Dr. Johnson. Dr. Johnson composed only one novel that the title is Rasselas, and it has a subtitle, The Prince of Abyssinia. The Prince of Abyssinia, which is the subtitle of Rasselas, the only novel composed by Dr. Johnson. Remember this. And because this appeared a couple of times. And the first Gothic novel, Friends. And Sir Walter Scott, Harrison Ainsworth, Benjamin Disraeli, Edward Bulwer Lytton. These are the four major important writers who popularly and promoted the historical novel during the Romantic period. We'll talk about a little later. And the first person who talks about, who introduced the concept of historical novel into English literature, Sir Walter Scott. And you can also find another important novel, and the first Gothic novel, The Castle of Otranto. Very, very important. The Castle of Otranto, which is a popular novel and first Gothic novel composed by and Horace Walpole. This is very important. Horace Walpole, who created the concept of Gothic novel. What is Gothic? Where you can find, it's a type of novel where the story takes place in an old brooding castle. Unexpected incidents and horrors, supernatural characters, appearance of ghosts, and the story usually takes place in an old brooding castle. And the central characters, protagonist, antagonist, will have a dark past, and the story deals with unexpected incidents, death of a few central characters. This type of novel, which you can say Gothic novel, Gothic architecture, Gothic literature, Gothic music. Okay. Next, the first person who composed this novel, Horace Walpole. And this became so popular from 1784 or 86 to 1800. That period is considered to be the Gothic novel period, and which is popularized by William Godwin, William Beckford, Annie Radcliffe, Matthew Gregory Lewis, Jane Austen, Mary Shelley, and Charles Dickens, very popular writers who composed a number of Gothic novels in English literature. We'll talk about this as a part of Romantic period little later. So the first Gothic novel, The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole, and the first historical novel, Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, and the only novel by Dr. Johnson, Rasselas, and the subtitle, very important, friends. And all these these were repeated more than half a dozen times in the history of NET, remember, and the four dates. Next, when we talk about 1765, Thomas Percy, Relics of Ancient English Poetry, where he talks about the importance of ancient English poetry and how it actually influenced ancient English. This is not going to talk about only the importance of literature that is composed during classical period, Roman time, Italian. No, it also talks about medieval age poetry and its impact. And 1766, A Vicar of Wakefield, the popular anti-sentimental novel. Friends, as I told you, Oliver Goldsmith is actually from Irishman. Okay, and from Dublin, and where he wrote a lot of literature, and that is the best example for anti-sentimental comedy. And his novels are anti-sentimental comedies, his plays are anti-sentimental comedies, remember. And the preface to Shakespeare, very, very important, as I told you. Sometimes you may not get bits based on Shakespeare, but you will get bits based on and the writers who spoke about Shakespeare. This is very important. And in my previous discussion with regard to Shakespeare, I spoke about only just half part. I will give you another important part of Shakespeare after I complete whole introduction to English literature. So preface to Shakespeare, which is composed by Dr. Johnson, and after Alexander Pope, he was the major one who reviewed the works of Shakespeare, analyzed the works of Shakespeare. Dr. Johnson. The Rivals by R.B. Sheridan. Okay, and where you can find a character called Malapropism. Mrs. Malaprop. And she stoops to conquer. And the good-natured man. And popular and works by Oliver Goldsmith. Very important, all these are. Next, my friends, you can see 1773 and 1779. 1773 and 1779, Lives of English Poets. Lives of English. Remember, I will give you another example. Lives of English novelists. Lives of English poets. See, similar titles. And the writer of Lives of English Poets, Dr. Johnson. And guess, Lives of English Novelist, who is the author? Okay. Next, Lives of English Poets, which is written by Dr. Johnson or Samuel Johnson, where he spoke about the biographical sketches of the poets from Chaucer to Thomas Gray. And starting from the 14th century, Geoffrey Chaucer to and 1750, 1760, Thomas Gray, and where he was able to write more than 50 important writers and their biographies. Who are they and where are they from? What are the popular works that they have written, and where he compiled the biographical sketches of some of the poets. Who? Dr. Johnson. And 1784, death of Dr. Johnson, very, very important. And according to some people, the year 1785 is considered to be the end of sensibility. But according to many, but since more and 90% of the audience who are watching this video might be from only India. So in India, once you go for JL or DL or UPS examination with regard to English literature, where we consider 1745 to 1798 age of sensibility. This is very important. Life of Johnson. This is the biography of Johnson written by James Boswell. Very, 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 very important. Friends, in the history of NET examination, they will give you writer and biographer. So where we need to match. How difficult it is, So on one section A, you find different writers like Charles Dickens, Dr. Johnson, T.S. Eliot, and Ezra Pound, where you can find important biographers who wrote the biographies of these writers, where you need to match. These types of bits are common in the history of NET and which are very complex to answer. This is one of them. So Life of Johnson, the biography of Johnson, which is written by one of his close associates and James Boswell. And 1785, according to some people, end of sensibility. And T.S. Eliot, who wrote What is a Classic? It's an essay, critical essay, which is composed by T.S. Eliot, which is very important. Next, you can also talk about another important dates like 1786, beginning of the Gothic novel period. As I told you, the period from 1786 to 1800, 1786 to 1800, these 15 years, according to experts, according to different novelists, this is called the Gothic novel period, where you can find plenty of important novelists like William Godwin, William Beckford, and Radcliffe, Matthew Gregory Lewis, Mary Shelley, Jane Austen, Mary Wollstonecraft, and some of the popular novelists who come under Gothic novel. Okay, very, very important, my friends. Couple of times it was asked. So the period 1786 to 1800. This is the Gothic novel period, Gothic romances. Next, 1789, the outbreak of the French Revolution. French Revolution began. There was a wonderful revolution where you can find in French and Paris, And what is the major slogan of this French Revolution? The people were not and not able to bear and the situations that are given by the king and the aristocracy. Hence, they revolted against the king, and this revolution, which you can say French Revolution, and the major slogan EFL, not English in Foreign Languages University, where I did my MPhil and PhD. No, so EFL refers to equality, fraternity, and liberty. Very, very important. Several times this bit was asked, what is the slogan of French Revolution? Equality, fraternity, liberty. Think about French Revolution and EFL University. Think like that. Not English in foreign languages. Equality, fraternity, liberty. This is the slogan of the common people. For equality, for fraternity, for liberty, common people revolted against the king and killed everybody, kith and kin of the family of the kingdom. So that is what the story of uh, the outbreak of French Revolution, which influenced all the romantic poets were greatly influenced by this French Revolution, the activities of the common people, activities of the downtrodden communities. This is what very important. And 1789, Songs of Innocence, a popular works and the collection of poems composed by William Blake, very popular writer, where he composed the importance of poetic symbolism, the importance of mysticism in terms of literature. And he was the major important poets, and one of the poets, maybe we can talk from the perspectives of romanticism little later. Songs of Innocence, Rights of Man, another important text. This also deals with French Revolution, written by Tom Paine. Very, very important. Reflections on the Revolution in France. This is written by Edmund Burke. These two are political essays, philosophical essays which influence people, not completely with regard to English literature, but these Rights of Man and Reflections on the Revolution in France, two, Tom Paine and Edmund Burke, influenced a number of poets, and so that they were influenced by French Revolution, influenced by the ideals of French Revolution, wrote a lot of literature mainly during Romantic period. So that is what the major important influence, which you can find in the works of Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, John Keats, P.B. Shelley, Robert Burns, William Blake, plenty of writers, and who were greatly influenced by these two important texts. Essays, critical essays. Next, when you see 1792, this is very, 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 very important. So, feminism, because, and I uploaded one of my videos on Unit 9 and literary theory after post World War II. And today, maybe tomorrow, you may get one of another important video on new criticism, where I'm going to give you a wonderful example how you can read different theories of critical theories of literature. I will give you one major important example. Maybe tomorrow afternoon you can watch it. And this, because as a part of critical theory, when you read feminism, which became so popular during 1940s. What is feminism? What is first wave feminism, second wave feminism, modern feminism, and gynocriticism, womenism? Okay, so like you find and patriarchal feminism, like you go on talking about a lot. And with regard to your net examination, you require there were and several times this bit what is the first feminist essay in English literature? You need to remember this. A Vindication of Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft. This is very important. Women in the 19th Century, 1845, written by Margaret Fuller. That is second important uh, critical essay, feminist essay that is composed by American writer Margaret Fuller. Very, very important these two are. Several times these were asked. So the first one, A Vindication of Rights of Women. This is the first feminist essay by and who? Mary Wollstonecraft. Mary Wollstonecraft, she was actually wife of William Godwin, and both are wife and husband, and and they had a kid, and Mary Godwin Wollstonecraft. Okay, and this Mary Godwin, who becomes Mary Shelley after marrying P.B. Shelley. And this Mary Shelley, she was actually the second wife of P.B. Shelley. Okay, after P.B. Shelley lost and his first wife, and he marries Mary Godwin, who becomes Mary Shelley. She was Mary Shelley, who is actually the daughter of Mary Wollstonecraft and William Godwin. Remember this. Simply, both are in-laws of P.B. Shelley. Mary Wollstonecraft and William Godwin. William Godwin, one of the major important Gothic novelists, and Mary Wollstonecraft, the first feminist in English literature, who wrote The Rights of Women, Identity of Women. Okay, for the first time, who exhibited through her essay A Vindication of Rights of Women. Next, 1793, Songs of Experience, another collection of songs that were composed by William Blake. 1794, Songs of Innocence, Songs of Experience, and together were and published by William Blake in 1794. And the Great Decade, 1797, very important, my friends. If you are serious about JL, if you are serious about PL or degree lecturer, once you qualify UGC-NET. So the Great Decade, the period from 1797 to 1807. 1797 to 1807, this is considered to be the great decade in the life of the artistic poetry that is composed by Wordsworth. We'll talk about when we discuss Romantic period and the author. So, because 1798, the lyrical ballad, the greatest work of Wordsworth, and 1807, Resolution and Independence, so the popular work and composed by Wordsworth, and these two are considered to be the period between 1797, 1807, where Wordsworth and produced the greatest work in his life. That's what the great decade of William Wordsworth poetry. And 1798, end of sensibility, end of neoclassical literature. That's it. This is what I wanted to talk about with regard to uh, age of sensibility, my friends, and that's it. That's it. And this is what introduction to neoclassical period. And tomorrow, we will talk about, and again I'll cover a few writers, mainly John Milton. First thing, tomorrow we'll have a discussion with regard to John Milton. Next, we will talk about Dr. Johnson. We will talk about Oliver Goldsmith, and we will also talk about John Dryden, Alexander Pope. Minimum 5 to 6 writers I'll be talking about, and seriously, I will talk about one of the major important poets, John Milton, because who figures in every examination. Okay, friends, I hope you are enjoying. And before we conclude our class, and let me ask you questions. Are you ready? So instead of beginning taking and asking for some kind of recapitulation, if we have these kind of aspects at the end, it will be easier. That's what my intention. So let me ask few questions, and if you are ready, okay? Yes, friends, come on, answer my questions. Ars Poetica is written by. Yes, come on, quick. I may ask 10 to 15 questions. You can respond quickly so that. Yes. Ars Poetica is written by. Hooray is wonderful. Ars Poetica is translated into English by. Ars Poetica is translated into English by. Yes, quick, my friends. You need to answer the bit quickly. Ars Poetica is translated into English by. No, Pope. Okay, no. Ars Poetica is translated into English by. Yes, Bharati madam. Ben Jonson. Ben Jonson was the first person who translated Ars Poetica. This is very important. Okay, next, very important concepts. Essay and man, essay and criticism. Essay and criticism, which is composed by Alexander Pope. And this is not an essay, this is actually a poem that is composed in dash epistles. How many epistles are there in essay on man? 2, 3, 4, 5. So who will answer this question? Essay on Man. Essay on Man. It's a popular poem composed in the form of epistle. How many epistles are there in Essay on Man? Yes, 3. Swati madam, wonderful. Bharati madam, wonderful. 3. Essay on criticism, 4. Very important. And Iliad and Odyssey. Iliad and Odyssey, The popular two classical epics were actually written by Homer. They were actually translated into English by one of the popular important poets. Who is he? Who he or she? Come on, friends. You need to answer the question quickly. Quickly. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful, Nagabhavani madam. Wonderful. It is Pope. Pope who translated. See, I told you, comedy of manners, and where it included a number of writers, which is also called restoration comedy, and where you can find a number of writers like John Dryden, William Congreve, William Wycherley, Sartor Ethergy. And to comment on these writers, and one of the important writers who wrote an essay, the title is A Short View of Profaneness and Immortality on the English Stage. This is written by Jeremy Collier to make comment on two important restoration dramatists. Who are they? Come on. And if you want, I will repeat it and you can answer. Jeremy Collier, who wrote a wonderful essay, A Short View of Profaneness and Immortality on the English Stage, written by Jeremy Collier, to make comment on restoration drama or restoration comedy or comedy of manners, to make comment on two important dramatists. Who are they? Yes, Vanbrugh, Congreve. Wonderful, Radhika madam. Wonderful. Sir John Vanbrugh and William Congreve. These are the two important writers and who were commented by Jeremy Collier. This is very important. And Paradise Lost, which is written by John Milton, when it was first published, how many cantos were there in that? How many cantos when the Paradise Lost was first published? Come on, can somebody answer? Can somebody answer this question? When the Paradise Lost was first published, how many cantos do you find? Yes, 10. Wonderful. 10. Only 10. Yes, exactly. Exactly. And the Paradise Lost, which is composed by John Milton, and John Milton took background source for writing this, the Paradise Lost, from one of the popular uh, classical poets. And who is that classical poet? And from whom? And John Milton took inspiration. And what is that book? Yes, can somebody answer? Yes, friends, quick. Virgil. Oh, wonderful, Annapurna madam. Wonderful. Yes, it is Virgil. It is Virgil's Aeneid. Wonderful. You need to remember the popular dialogues like to justify the ways of God to men. And in the Paradise Lost, where there is a wonderful character who is actually called the Lord of Lies. The Lord of Lies. Can somebody answer this? Who is called the Lord of Lies? I will talk about short summary tomorrow. Don't worry. Who is called the Lord of Lies? If you know, you can answer because this was repeated several times in the history. Who is called the Lord of Lies? Come on, quick, quick, quick. The answer is Beelzebub. Wonderful, 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 madam. Wonderful. Yes. Yes. And as I told you, Pamela, which is actually written by Samuel Richardson. On Samuel Richardson, one of the writers, and wrote a novel, and the writer name is Henry Fielding, who wrote a novel called Shamella. And what do you call this Shamella? And which is actually a comment on Pamela. And literally, as part of literature, we can call this Shamella with a different title. Can somebody say? Parody. Yes, wonderful. What is the other title of parody? This is also very important. Several times this bit was asked. What is the other title of the parody? Yes, 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 friends. Can somebody answer my question? Parody, pastiche. Very, very important, my friends. Several times this bit was asked. Okay, pastiche. Yes, not satiric, pastiche, a kind of imitating the form. McFleckno, which is a popular mock epic composed by John Dryden, to make comment on to make comment on a menial poet. Who is that menial poet? Can somebody answer? McFleckno, which is the best example for mock epic composed by John Dryden, composed in heroic couplet, to make comment on one of the writers, and his name is Shardwell, Thomas Shardwell. This is very, very important. Okay, friends, we'll meet tomorrow. And if possible, you can watch it. And tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to upload a wonderful video on new criticism. What new criticism? There are plenty of theories of criticism, and I made a video on literary theory, how to read literary theory. You can watch this so that you can understand new criticism in a better way. And see you tomorrow, same time. All right, guys. And before you leave, like our video and share our video to your friends and classmates. Yes, I will post a lot of videos on literary criticism. Don't worry. And before you leave, like our video and spread the word to your friends and classmates. Thank you.